Have you ever wondered about a book that the Bible itself references, but somehow vanished from history? A mysterious text that was important enough to be cited in Scripture, yet completely disappeared without a trace? These are the types of content I create. If you're interested, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss upcoming videos. Today, we're diving into one of the Bible's greatest mysteries, the enigmatic Book of Jasher. There are those who believe in every whisper, and there are those who don't seem to bother much. The question is, what can we gain from this? Let's start with what we know for certain, the biblical references. The Bible mentions this mysterious book twice, and both times it's referring to something pretty incredible. According to the Bible, Jasher is not identified as a person. Rather, the phrase Book of Jasher means literally Book of the Upright or Book of the Just. The Bible never presents Jasher as a person and only uses the name as a title for a record or collection. Scholars generally agree that Jasher refers to the upright rather than to a specific individual. There is no biblical information about a person named Jasher or any details about his life or role. The identity or authorship of the book is not given in the biblical text, and no other context points to Jasher being an actual person. In Joshua 10:13, we read, "So the sun stood still and the moon stopped, till the people had revenge upon their enemies. Is this not written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and did not hasten to go down for about a whole day." Think about that for a moment. The Bible is referencing another book to back up one of the most miraculous events ever recorded, the day the sun stood still. Joshua was written sometime between 1400 and 1000 BC, depending on dating theories. The second mention comes in 2 Samuel 1:18, "And he told them to teach the children of Judah the song of the bow. Indeed, it is written in the book of Jasher." 2 Samuel was written around 1000 to 900 BC during or after David's reign. Since both books reference Jasher as an existing work, the original Book of Jasher would have been composed no later than 1400 to 1000 BC and possibly much earlier. I uncover stories you won't find in textbooks or hear from anyone else. Don't miss out on stories that will inspire, shock, and leave you knowing more of the things you thought you knew. The Great Mystery. So here's where it gets fascinating and frustrating. This book that was clearly important enough for biblical authors to cite has completely vanished. It's like having a recipe that calls for a secret ingredient, but the ingredient itself has been lost to time. What the original book likely contained. The Book of Jasher was probably a collection or compilation of ancient Hebrew songs and poems praising the heroes of Israel and their exploits in battle. The biblical references suggest it contained historical accounts, such as the miracle of the sun standing still during Joshua's battle. Songs and poetry, including David's Song of the Bow, lamenting Saul and Jonathan's deaths. Heroic narratives, stories of Israel's champions and their victories. Scholars today agree that the original Book of Jasher is what we call a lost text. No verified ancient copy exists anywhere in the world. It's gone, vanished, disappeared into the mists of history. Modern imposters. For sure, your whole body will tremble, your brain will explode, and you will definitely be blown away if you learn that there's a twist in this ancient mystery. If you go online or walk into a bookstore today, you might actually find books calling themselves the Book of Jasher. Here's the catch. They're not the real deal. Think of it like this. Imagine someone today writing a book and calling it Shakespeare's Lost Play. It might be entertaining, it might even be well written, but it's not actually Shakespeare, is it? There are numerous later works titled Book of Jasher, but these are not the original biblical book. Most are considered forgeries or reinterpretations written centuries later. That's exactly what happened with the Book of Jasher. What we have today are either medieval Jewish writings from around the 13th century or even more recent forgeries from the 18th and 19th centuries. Some were created by well-meaning scholars trying to fill in biblical gaps, while others were outright fabrications designed to deceive people. The detective work. How do scholars know these modern versions aren't authentic? It's like biblical detective work. Here are the clues. First, there's a massive historical gap. The original book disappears from all records right after the Bible mentions it, then suddenly reappears over 1,000 years later in medieval times. That's like losing your car keys and finding them in a completely different century. Second, linguistic analysis reveals that the Hebrew used in these later versions sounds medieval, not ancient. It's like someone trying to write in Shakespearean English today. You can usually tell it's not authentic. Third, these later books contain historical mistakes. They mention places and people that didn't exist until centuries after biblical times. It's like writing about George Washington and accidentally mentioning he used a telephone. Other channels are just clickbait and waste your time with their fancy videos. But if you've ever been disappointed by half-baked content and dry history lessons, this channel is for you. I dig deep to uncover every detail and bring these stories to life for you. These are the stories you'll be dying to share at your next gathering. Your friends will be impressed. Subscribe now and I promise you'll walk away amazed every time. Do nothing and keep wasting your time on stories that you will gain nothing from, and then you will know how much time value you've lost. Doing nothing is expensive too. Why does this matter? You might be wondering, why should I care about some lost ancient book? Well, this mystery teaches us something profound about faith and history. The fact that the Bible references a book that's now lost reminds us that Scripture was written in a real historical context, referencing real sources and real events that the original readers would have been familiar with. It's not some fantasy written in isolation, it's grounded in historical reality. It also shows us the incredible preservation of the biblical texts themselves. While other ancient books disappeared, the Bible survived through careful copying and preservation across thousands of years. You're here because you crave the kind of stories most people miss, ones that make you think, laugh, and examine further the world around you. That's exactly what I deliver. Unlike other channels, I back every story with meticulous research and bring it to you in a way that's as entertaining as it is eye-opening. Join this community. Don't miss your chance to be part of it. The lesson in the mystery, it is the scholarly consensus that the medieval text we have today called Book of Jasher is not the ancient work referenced in Joshua and 2 Samuel, but rather a much later composition. We have no historical evidence beyond the biblical references themselves. The book was significant enough to be cited by biblical authors, but was never included in the biblical canon and subsequently disappeared from history entirely. Any versions of Jasher available today are medieval compositions or modern forgeries, not the ancient text referenced in Scripture. Perhaps the real treasure isn't in finding the lost book of Jasher, but in appreciating what we do have. Sometimes we spend so much time looking for what's missing that we forget to value what's right in front of us. The Bible we have today contains everything God wanted preserved for us. As it says in 2 Timothy 3:16-17, all scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be complete, thoroughly equipped for every good work. Closing thought. I share unbelievable stories that you won't want to miss. Once it's live, only subscribers will be the first to know. My stories may not be for everyone, but if you have a passion for the extraordinary, this is the place for you. Each like and subscription fuels more fascinating stories, ensuring you stay in the loop. As the ancient proverb reminds us, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. Sometimes the greatest mysteries aren't meant to be solved, but to remind us that faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about trusting the one who does. Open up your mind and further enrich your understanding of well-researched knowledge, which is the foundation of true wisdom. Remember, it's crucial to select content where you can learn something worthwhile.